associate or manager on the floor at the dealership. So a lot of what our tools do, and you could pretty much condense everything I sent over into one sentence, right, is that we try to create a white glove concierge experience for the customer, almost a virtual showroom, where the customer can delve as deep as they like, into the search process, really all the way up until the trade-in and buying process. And so I think that's where the success of the tool has come from. It's just treating customers the way the dealership would treat them, and not feeling like an online, distant, impersonal process.
Makes complete sense. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So we'll just jump into the demo, and I'll move through it. And at the end, if you guys have any questions, if I didn't really hit a point that you'd like me to cover, anything, just jot it down, while I'm running through the demo, and then I'll do my best to answer it. And if I can't, I'll get an answer to you shortly. Fair enough?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, cool. So what you see on the screen share on the left is just a mock-up. It's literally just a demo mock-up design of what our buttons could look like on a dealership site. For reference, Live Help over here, one of our TTAs, the bottom bar, which is actually the most suggested and most powerful, where the customer can ask a question to start a chat. They can also click on chat. I'll show you what that looks like. They can click on text. Keep in mind, guys, that chat and text here, kind of in this design, is what you would see on mobile. So really clean, customer can access chat and digital retailing on their phones, as well as desktop or iPad. It's all good to go. One good point that I bring up in the document, one of the selling points of CarNow for the dealer, is that it's not a one-size-fits-all. Everything about our tool, everything is customizable. If the dealer wants something tweaked within reason, we can do it almost instantaneously. If it's a larger tweak, it could take a couple days or a few weeks or the next dev update. But to give an example, Live Help, that can say whatever the dealer likes. It can say whatever Subaru wants it to say. The color, the text, the size, the placement of the button, we can even erase that button if the dealer doesn't like it and they want this clean experience. So everything aesthetically is customizable, including the inside of the tool. Over on the right-hand side, is just what our agents would see when they're logged into CarNow. For the example of this demo, we'll pretend like it is a fully managed account. And in that case, we have agents that are actually Shift affiliated really close to the Shift office called Dynamic BDC. And that's just for your information, kind of internally. But they handle all of these inbound requests on fully managed accounts and also reception accounts where, we handle rollover at night or during off hours or on the weekend or holidays. Highly trained agents in the automotive space. And so, they'll pick up inbound chats. Of course, we do have the option for the dealer, to do 50-50. It's called reception, where they pick up chats maybe during on hours, their internet teams, and then our agents are there as rollover. And then we do have a package called software technology only. And it's a little rare, I would say, out of our 3,000 CarNow dealerships, Subaru included with everyone else, I'd say probably 5% of our customers use software only. Most of them use fully managed or reception, just because of the level of service, and it takes heavy lifting off them. Most dealerships don't want to be answering every single inbound conversation unless they have an incredible internet department or internal BDC. All right, so let's get to the fun stuff. I'm going to click on Live Help. We have an optional department selector. We can cover new car sales, pre-owned. If the dealer wants to make it just sales, that's fine. And then we handle service and parts as well. That's something that separates us from other providers. In a service conversation, if the dealer has X time or time highway, our agents are highly trained in that. All they need is a login, username and password from the service director. They can upload service notes, and they can actually set appointments in time, highway, and X time for the dealer. So that's a big selling point. But let's look at the fun stuff, which is new car sales. Excuse my internet has been just a tad slow today, not too bad. Over on the right-hand side, our agents will pick this up. Their response time is usually 3 to 5 seconds. So, as soon as that customer engages in a conversation, again, we're dealing with my funky internet right now. It's like a 3 to 5 second response. Just give this 1 second. Okay. And what makes it quick is that our agents can send over shortcuts, or they can type on the fly. So over on the left-hand side, let's just keep it simple and start with what the customer sees and what they can do. Again, desktop, iPad, phone, they're able to respond, of course. And if you look on the right-hand side, our agents and or the dealership, if they're in the chat, they have everything that you see on the right-hand side. Can see what the customer's typing in live time, which is pretty cool. It's a little creepy at first, right? But our agents are highly trained to watch what they type, what they delete. Maybe not as insightful when they're just saying, hey, I want a new vehicle. But later on in the conversation, if they start talking about what they're willing to put down as a down payment, or maybe even some finance or leasing details, we're able to anticipate and answer their questions much quicker and more efficiently. There's less beating around the bush because we can see, again, kind of what they're thinking, what they're typing before they send it. So that's a cool feature. The customer can add, a photo or video or a file from their phone or desktop. In most manufacturers, the next little icon you would see here is inventory. The reason why we don't have inventory here, and I don't know if this is going to change, Paul, but in the past we've been told from Subaru compliance that the customer should not see inventory on their side, but that our agents are able to share the dealership's inventory brochures with the customer, but that they're not supposed to see it from the customer-facing view. If that changes, once we're in program, all we have to do is click a box in our backend, and all of a sudden, the dealership's inventory will be populated right here, and the customer can search it on their own. So, do you know if that's something that's going to save a cent?
So if I understand this correctly, you're basically saying that right now it's a push only. It can't be pulled from the. Like if I'm the customer, I can't pull it. I can only get it pushed to me from the chat agent.
Exactly.
I don't know the answer to that, but I can ask.
Okay, cool. And so we're just keeping it, compliant because that was a request that's been made over the years. But just to kind of show you what it would look like, if you see the agent has complete access to everything that's on the lot, and can search by year, make, model, color, feature, VIN, trim, that can be available to the customer on their end, and they can search just like the agent can. But until we know, we want to keep it safe and have it hidden. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So let's just say, that the agent sends over, they're in conversation, it would look a lot nicer than this, but I want to show you what inventory brochures look like from our side. You have the vehicle, you have VIN, you have MSRP, and then the customer can look at details. In this case, it's kind of just dummy inventory. In most cases, you're going to actually see the pictures that the dealership provides online for that vehicle matched up with the VIN. Right now, it's stock photos, but they would actually see whatever photos are listed. Again, it's a dummy site, so you're not going to see that. Specs and options, so, if they're really interested in particular specs and options, they can see that. We can guide them through. I won't get into buy now, but if it's a store that has chat and digital retailing, they can jump straight into digital retailing based off of that vehicle, which is kind of a cool feature, Paul, for down the road.
Yep.
Customers also can play around with trade-in. So, you know, just as mentioned in other meetings, we can integrate different trade-in tools, KBB, trade pending, that's what we have here. We love trade pending, but again, we can integrate other tools if Subaru, the dealership, prefers. But just for the purpose of this, let's say a customer has a 2016 Forester, or the Subaru Forester. All right, they can put in their estimated mileage, and they can just get an estimate. And what's really cool about trade pending is not only is it extremely accurate, right, in terms of estimated range, but it just helps move a customer a little further away from emotional value. Especially young customers get on there, they might be trading in their first or their second car. Heck, even, you know, people that own have owned, you know, 7 or 8 cars, you have an emotional attachment. And if you're not really savvy in terms of how a dealership works, you're going to think, you know, that your car is worth more than it probably is. If you go online and play with trade-in, sometimes you get inaccurate ranges. So what trade pending does is it really clearly, and I think beautifully, breaks down things like supply, right? We have the zip code of the dealership and a customizable radius that can be customized by the dealer, say 50 miles around that dealership. There are 31 like vehicles, right, that are for sale. Value to the dealer. There's a range, you know, high 11 to mid 13. Again, this is an estimated value, and it's contingent, right, on that customer actually coming in and having their car inspected. Demand index. How popular is that vehicle moving? You know, kind of right there in the middle. Scatter plot, where the dealership is, that mile sort of range. And then other vehicles that are out there with comparable estimated trade retail value. And then what's really neat, and again, it's customizable, most of this is customizable for the dealer, is how the list price range is moved toward estimated value to the dealer. Things like estimated discount from list, in this case 3%, dealer reconditioning fees, depreciation, advertising costs, dealer overhead, dealer net profit. It comes up with a much more reliable estimate, but of course, it's important. It always says, right, this is not an offer to purchase your vehicle. You know, these values fluctuate daily based on real market data, and final inspection of your vehicle is always required. If, for some reason, the dealer just says, no way, no way, no way, I don't want KBB, I don't want trade pending. If anything, I want your agents to send, you know, a link from our site, or I want, you know, you guys just to say that we'll discuss trade-in when you come into the dealership, no problem. Everything is customizable. All we have to do is click a button in our back end, and this disappears. Okay?
Perfect, thank you.
Yep. Moving along, if the customer gets a little flighty, or, you know, their boss walks in and sees them chatting on their desktop, they can quickly, if they like, input their contact information. Most conversations, our agents will gather and garner that organically, but a customer always has the ability to throw it in a form and jump out. And in that case, right, whatever is in this conversation becomes a lead for the customer, at least for the dealership, right? That doesn't always mean that we'll get everything in Elms if the customer bounces early, but at least it sends something to the dealership. Info, basics like directions, Google Maps, hours, and then if you want to switch from, sorry guys, if you want to, give me 1 second, technology, right? Yep. If you want to switch from desktop to mobile, again, boss walks in, you need to do it quickly. You can throw your mobile number and email in, and this entire conversation will send a link over to the customer's cell phone or email, and they can jump in from a mobile device and continue a conversation either immediately or the next day or a week later. Last but not least, on the customer side is a translator. Kind of hard to see here, but if someone jumps in and they're speaking a foreign language, our agents can change the translator over here, or the customer can change it as well. We have access to 127 languages. It's just Google Translator embedded into our backend. We also take a lot of good care of our dealers in Wisconsin and Northern Michigan and New York State that are close to Canada. And we have, a set of about 15 agents in the Detroit call center who can manually translate French Canadian on the fly, so that the nice French Canadian folks do not get offended, when they're speaking how they speak, and it cannot be translated through Google Translator. So that's going a long way up in the areas near Canada to respect French Canadian customers. All right. Over on the right-hand side, it's the fun stuff, and we'll run through it quickly. This is the differentiator. This is what really makes CarNow such a powerful tool, are all of the rich content, right? The inventory, the model brochures, the vehicle comparisons, video, Deal Now. All of these features are really what makes this tool so robust. And it wasn't a question that was asked, but it's worth noting in all of our accounts across the board, not specific to one manufacturer, we have about an average of 10 to 12 minutes of customer interaction. So again, that's taking into account the granny or granddad that sits on their phone, right, and sort of initiates the chat as a spam and it gets filtered out, all the way to, people who sit in the chat, they go to eat lunch, they come back. Right in the middle, you see about a 10 to 12 minute engagement, which is, I think, highly remarkable, that we can keep a customer, answering their questions, sharing content, enticing them, getting them excited, and going back and forth with them as long as they need to before they want to actually come in, right? Again, that white glove concierge experience. You really can't get that level of engagement in a chat tool that, is pushing, what's your name, what's your phone number, I'm sorry, I can't answer this basic question. You have much higher bounce rates in those conversations. Or the dealer has leads, but we call them junk leads. Their provider might give them a 95% lead conversion rate, but how many of those customers are actually coming in and buying a car that's attributed to that conversation? That is a very low percentage. High lead conversion, but low percentage of sales is never a good thing. So we try to do, the right thing in how we work with that customer.
And
right-hand
Zach,
side. Yes, sir.
Can I ask a question?
Please do.
That's a really interesting point about the 10 to 12 minutes, and I'm glad you covered it, even though we didn't have it on the questions, because that's something that's super beneficial. When you talk about not necessarily having that grab the information, make it a lead first mentality, but having more deeper conversations, and then hopefully getting better leads, not just junk leads. Do you guys keep any sort of KPIs or data on actual vehicle sales from those types of conversations, or is that not something that you track?
Well, no, that's a great question. We have kind of a base average, right? If you were just kind of looking at all of our stores, we float between the 20 to 25% close percentage. Maybe a really small store, you'll see closer, to 15, but sort of a mid-sized store, most of the chats, over the years are generating, I'd say safely, about 20%. Some of the really large stores, like the really big Whopper, branded Hondas or Atlantic Toyotas, really large stores, sometimes can hit 30%. But what you're seeing with us is, I'll be honest, we really are more like 60 to 75% lead conversion because we're not going to hammer the customer. The customer gets irritated. I know you guys know this. They get irritated when all you can do is ask them for their contact info. It's very impersonal. So, of course, our agents are trained to convert as many leads as possible. But, again, we see about 20 to 25% of the leads that the dealer has resulting in sales. You know, again, they're outliers that are a little lower and a little higher. But we're very proud of that. And you know, not to bring in other programs, but other programs we've been in for a long period of time, we've typically always been either first or second year by year over the years in terms of vehicle, you know, percentage of vehicles sold based off of leads. So nothing specific to Subaru, but those are kind of our our company core standards.
Got it. So if I understand the calculation, the 20 to 25%, is that based off of 20 to 25% of the leads or 20 to 25% of the conversations?
That is based off of leads.
Okay, cool.
That's based off of leads because a conversation could take place, but if there's not enough information, it won't generate a lead. But out of all conversations, we have about a 60, I say safely 55 to 75%, depending on the store, depending on kind of how tech savvy the area is, you know, all the things that drive traffic onto the site, which is out of our control, right? We see, you know, between 60, 75% lead conversion, as opposed to promising, hey, we're going to give you 99 or 100% lead conversion. I guarantee you the sales on that side are probably 5 to 10% at best, when you have junk leads. And we've had a lot of folks switch over because they've kind of been jaded about, you know, the promise of, you know, every chat you get will convert to a lead. And they're going, okay, great, I've done that for a year or two, and, you know, I sell maybe 4 or 5% vehicles based off of this. So if you go the route of treating everyone that you speak to the same way you would in the dealership, you garner the lead as best as you can, the content that's in that conversation, you know, generates a happier customer that's going to come in, maybe even not buy the car, but they're going to come in, they're going to test drive, you know, and they're going to be much more willing, I think, to work with the dealer and again, not feel like a follow-up phone call.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Over on the right-hand side, a couple more things I'm going to show you. Model brochures. So we can send model brochures for Subaru. We can send model brochures for any North America make, manufacturer, make, year from 2019 to, say, 2013 or 14. We have a feed from Chrome Data. It's really, really nice. I'll just do this quickly and show you what that looks like. We can choose any trim and any package, send it over. Again, in that engagement, the customer is able to view and learn more about the vehicle, maybe ask more questions, and of course our agents can open it at the same time and they can answer those questions much more efficiently. All right, I don't know why. Again, we're just using some, here we go, specs and options. So if that customer is obsessed with engine and transmission, they can go right there. If they're interested in warranty or crash test ratings, they can zoom in and ask better questions. Over here, we can create comparisons, so side-by-side comparisons of model brochures. We can compare, you know, the same Subaru model in 3 different trims. You can compare an 18 to a 17. You can compare a Subaru, you know, to, we don't want to probably do like a Tesla or Lamborghini, but we can come to similar models. And this breaks down thousands and thousands of brochures, you know, into a few dozen. Just quickly show you what that looks like side by side. send it over. You know, in some cases, the customer might be saying, hey, this is what I have, this is what I want, and I want to see, I want to learn more, right, about how it stacks up against the vehicle that I had. So what better way, right, than sending them the highlights side by side? And on a live account, I don't know if you can see it, on a live account, we will have advantages highlighted in blue. I have a little bit of a glare on my end, but this should be blue because it's the cheapest MSRP. This should be blue because it's the cheapest destination fee. I think I got lucky with my quick comparison. But again, it's not going to hide the competitor's information, but it's just going to help make a more informed decision. Videos, we can search the Subaru feed, Subaru North America feed, and also under the garage, we can search the dealership's YouTube feed if they have it. We can set it up in the back end so we can send videos over. That helps bump up CSI scores with service when you can send a how-to video to someone when they get home and maybe they forgot how to set up their Bluetooth. You could send a test drive video to someone who's at the dentist and they're playing with their iPad or their phone, and they're getting excited because they're seeing a 19 that's coming out and getting excited about that vehicle. And then over here we can input significant links that the dealer wants us to have handy, pre-approval links, specials, service specials. We can input a lot of service notes into our system so we can better answer questions that don't require us reaching out to the service department. Really anything that you like, and we can send an embedded link over. On the left-hand side, this is where we build the lead. You guys have seen a lot of programs, so I don't have to really go into it, but if the customer types their name, we would throw their name in here. If they type their phone number, it's a hyperlink, and it just adds to the lead. Their email adds to the lead. And, as the conversation works its way through from start to finish, we have the option at the end to push the lead. And by pushing the lead, it hits the dealer's CRM as a new car sales, pre-owned, service, or parts. If the customer stops engaging for 10 minutes, they leave the computer or they exit out of the conversation, after 10 minutes, it will automatically push to the dealer's CRM. So as long as there's minimum contact information, even if our agents didn't push the lead or the customer left for 10 or 15 minutes, it will still hit the dealer's CRM as a lead, wherever it was ended. Okay? So it's like a fallback mechanism or safety. Just two more things here. One is appointment. So we can set an appointment for the customer. Our agents, I want to make this clear, our agents are not paid a commission to set appointments. They're not going to be vultures. Again, just like pounding the customer over the head, if the conversation organically leads to us being like, hey, would you like to come in for a test drive? We see that you love this vehicle, and we'd like to help set that up. We can set an appointment for the customer. And again, you see the customers would receive it here. They can add it to their desktop calendar, or if their cell phone is included, it actually will sync, with their mobile calendar. They have an iPhone. If you leave in 30 minutes for an appointment an hour away, you'll get there on time with moderate traffic. We have ICS integration. But we don't push our agents to set a certain number of appointments. And we make that clear to the dealers that, yes, if you're using the system, your agents can go to town and set as many appointments as they like. If our agents are doing it, of course it's a priority that we want to try to set appointments. But we don't want to scare the customer off by being appointment crazy. And there's no competition within our BDC to try to set a certain number of appointments. Okay? Last but not least, I think my Zoom for some reason says I only have 5 minutes. If I get cut off, Paul, I'm going to call you I'm going to call you back, but let me show you one more feature here.
Okay, just let us know.
Yeah, okay. I'm interested in purchasing this vehicle. All right, this is a really good point. I want to make it quickly. If the customer gets to the point where they want to know, is this car on the lot? I'm going to come in, I'm going to bear, an hour of traffic. I want to set an appointment, but is it on the lot? Or I want to purchase this vehicle and I need to know best price. Or I have specific questions about financing. That goes above our dealership's pay grade, right? I mean, above our agent's pay grade. In that case, what we're going to do is hit Deal Now. Can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. Customer is interested in, let's say, stock number 12345, needs out the door. What this is, guys, with Deal Now is an internal notification system that our agents from the BDC can apply. They can type that message in without the customer seeing anything on the left-hand side. And they can ping a manager in a dealership anywhere in the country on their cell phone as a text message or on their desktop as a notification if they're logged into CarNow. Even if they have CarNow minimized because they don't really look at it that much, they'll receive a pop-up, in the upper right-hand screen like you would see with Outlook email. And it makes kind of a loud ringing noise like a siren. Or, of course, if it's a text message, they can see it while they're eating lunch at Wendy's around the corner. And if they feel like it's important enough and they see a stock number and they see a customer's interested in buying, we train those few managers to say, hey, this is worth my time. I need to at least see what's going on as, a desk manager or finance manager. They can enter into the conversation on their phone by clicking on the text message link, or they can enter into it on their desktop. They have two options. One of their options is they can send a note. I am here to help you guide the customer. Okay, and they can send that to our agents, or they can jump in. Hi, this is Jim.
Goodbye.